Christian Horner is fuming. Over the past few weeks, he's been defending himself and Red Bull from the Koskapen apocalypse. At the Singapore Grand Prix, he threatened Toto Wolff with legal action for running his mouth. In Japan, he said Red Bull were owed an apology from all the other teams and demanded the FIA launch an investigation into why everybody hates him. And then in the press conference for the American Grand Prix, he was sat next to Zach Brown, and things got a bit spicy. Why? Because Fat Brown wrote a letter to the FIA saying Red Bull are pure knobs, and if they don't get an absolute bollocking for taking the piss with the catering expenses, I'll twat the bastards myself. His words. And then in the press conference when Christian was asked about it, he said this.
Well, obviously, Zach's letter, which wasn't copied to us. Well, obviously, we've had sight of that letter, and it's tremendously disappointing for a fellow competitor to be accusing you of cheating, to accuse you of fraudulent activity is shocking. It's absolutely shocking that another competitor, without the facts, without any knowledge, we're seeing significant issues now within our workforce. We're getting kids that are being bullied in playgrounds that are employees' children. That is not right. So we absolutely are appalled at the behaviour of some of our competitors.
Ooh, you're hard showing off.
We absolutely are appalled at the behaviour of some of our competitors. Yeah, so am I, because who writes a letter? It's 2022. Ever heard of a fax machine? And also, Christian said, we're getting kids that are being bullied in playgrounds that are employees' children. That is not right. Oh, the kids are getting bullied. Do you ever think about the children?
Oh, no. Funny enough, I don't.
But Karen Horner was just getting started, because then Formula One arrived in Mexico, and before the weekend even began, Red Bull announced they are boycotting Sky F1. Big move. And the reason they are boycotting Sky F1 is because £46 a month is fucking theft. That's not why, but it is theft. The real reason is because of Ted Kravitz. So, after the US Grand Prix, Ted was doing what he normally does, wandering around the paddock, talking a lot of shite. You've seen The Notebook. It's not meant to be taken seriously. One time, he walked around the paddock with a bag full of cheese. It's all fun and games. Until, in the US Grand Prix Notebook, he mentioned Abu Dhabi 2021. Are we still talking about Abu Dhabi 2021? Yes, of course we are. And it's coming up on the 1-year anniversary. Bloody hell, it's almost been a year and we're still talking about Abu Dhabi 2021. So what did Ted say about Abu Dhabi? Well, he went on this long ramble about how if Lewis Hamilton won the American Grand Prix, that would have been an amazing script for a movie. Because Brad Pitt was at the American Grand Prix, and apparently Brad Pitt is making a movie about Formula One, and Lewis Hamilton is going to be in the movie, and that's what Ted was saying, that if he won the race, because of what happened in Abu Dhabi, that would have been... Here's what he said. And as you can see, he used the word robbed. And that's what some people had a problem with. Because it was disrespectful. Alright, we all know what happened in Abu Dhabi. Does the word robbed accurately describe it? Well, let's take a look at the definition. Robbed, having taken another person's property without permission or legal right. Deprive someone of something needed or deserved. Michael Massey on blow sends the race and gave everybody an epic showdown because YOLO bitch, and now for the rest of time Team LH will be crying on Twitter about how Lewis Hamilton was robbed. There we go. So even though he did use the word robbed correctly, Red Bull boycott Sky F1, which triggered a monsoon of abuse on social media. Now, normally, when we're talking about toxic social media behaviour, it's Team LH on F1 Twitter. It's just one of those combinations that works so well. Like third world hunger and malaria. But this time, we're talking about the Verstappen shaggers on F1 Instagram. And I cannot believe I'm about to say this, but it might be even worse than F1 Twitter. This is the Instagram account for Ted Kravitz. And if we go through his page, we can see that his pictures normally get around 12 comments, 24 comments, 32... 48, 67. It's a quiet page where he posts random pictures of shite. But then on the most recent post, which was all the way back in January, 11 months ago, something strange happened. Over the last few days, it went from 72 comments to 2,400. Because, for whatever reason, this is where the Verstappen shaggers decided to have their mental breakdown, in the comment section of this picture. Are you ready for the comment section? I'm going to have to put my seatbelt on again. These people are out of their minds. Why is it so long? That's what she said. Where's the fucking thing? Oh, you little bastard, it's not long enough. I mean, how has this got an MOT? I mean, look at that. That's ridiculous. I'll just pull it tight and pretend that it looks fine. Here we go. You're the biggest loser I've ever seen. You're the reason why there's so much friction between fans in our sport. I hope you're fired. You fat, no good Hamilton bumlicker. Hope you get fired, Kravitz. Hope Sky Sports fire you, fat ass, you ugly, unprofessional you suck. Max did nothing wrong in Abu Dhabi last year, but you keep disrespecting him. Get out of F1, Ted Kravitz. You're cancer of the sport. Ted, you better run away. We are coming for you in Brazil. Resign or I will look out for you in Brazil. Merc dick riders get decapitated. It's that simple. I hope you'll find your wife fucking with another guy when you come home in the normal way. What does normal way, in quotes, mean? Is anybody mentally ill enough to understand what that means? Sky Sports need to sack you before you kill the sport. Go quit your job, pathetic clown. F*** you, Crimelton fan. Sky Sports should have a video of your mum's funeral with a Happy New Year greetings. I think that's a reference to when Sky Sports used the Verstappen cops crash as a Christmas advert. I thought that was very festive. But the point is, Ted Kravitz was just messing around in the notebook. Christian Horner turned it into a hate crime. Red Bull boycott Sky F1 at the Mexican Grand Prix, and the Verstappen shaggers have a mental breakdown. So by the time Formula One arrived at the next race in Brazil, F1 social media had already achieved a full mushroom cloud. And then this happened. Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton crashed into each other. It's like they're trying to start a war. I think they know how insane their fan bases are, and they keep doing this because they like watching the world burn. Hamilton got away with minimal damage, whereas Verstappen had to come into the pits for a new front wing. By the time he came back out, he dropped all the way down to 17th. Then, the FIA gave him a 5-second penalty for a crash that was obviously Hamilton's fault. Then Mercedes come home to finish 1 and 2. But that wasn't even the most controversial thing that happened, because then Verstappen charges through the field. He's 2 seconds a lap faster than the cars around him, although the cars around him were Nicholas Latifi. We see him pull a double overtake into the first corner, and by lap 67, he's right behind Sergio Perez. And this is when Red Bull made a deal. The deal was Red Bull tell Perez to let Verstappen through so he can chase down Fernando Alonso in 5th. But if Verstappen can't overtake Alonso by the end of the race, they'll switch back positions because Perez is fighting for 2nd in the championship and he needs all the points he can get. That seems like a fair deal. So Perez lets him through into the first corner and Verstappen goes after Fernando Alonso. He got within 0.7 seconds by the final lap, but not close enough to make an overtake. So Red Bull tell him to give the position back to Perez, and guess what happens? He didn't give the position back to Perez. Dick move. And not only did Verstappen disobey a team order, when his engineer asked him on the radio what the bloody hell are you playing at, he said this.
Yeah, don't worry about the DRS, Max. Let Checo through. Let Checo through. Max, let Checo through, please. Max, what happened?
I told you already last time, you guys don't ask that again to me, okay? Are we clear about that? I gave my reasons, and I stand by it.
Ooh, you're hard, showing off.
I told you already last summer, you guys don't ask that again to me. Are we clear about that? I gave my reasons, and I stand by it. What's he talking about? What happened last summer? What reasons did he give? Why does he stand by it? Well, that's where this gets real juicy. Because that radio message triggered a conspiracy theory so spicy it would give Alex Jones an aneurysm. Are you ready for the conspiracy?
I'm going to control myself right now.
At the Monaco Grand Prix last summer, Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc were fighting over pole position. In the final part of Q3, Leclerc goes fastest in the first sector. Verstappen's on a personal best. It's going to go all the way down to the wire. But then, Sergio Perez fucks it into the barriers, causing a red flag. Everybody's lap time is ruined, and that was the end of qualifying. Verstappen ended up 4th on the grid behind Perez, who went on to win the race after Ferrari did what they do best and fucked up a pit stop. At the time, it didn't seem that suspicious. But then, according to the Daily Star, there's the first red flag, a man called Tom Coronel, who is a commentator on Viaplay, a Dutch broadcaster, there's the second red flag. He said that Perez admitted he crashed on purpose and told Christian Horner and Helmut Marko. The accusation was then backed up by a man called Eric van Haren, who is a journalist for a Dutch newspaper. There's the third red flag. After the Brazilian Grand Prix, Eric tweeted this. It's true what Tom Coronel just said at Viaplay. Perez deliberately crashed in qualifying in Monaco and later admitted it to Helmut Marko and Christian Horner. Max Verstappen has not forgotten that. So let me get this straight. According to Dutch media, Sergio Perez crashed on purpose to manipulate the result, told Christian Horner and Helmut Marko, Red Bull cover it up, Max Verstappen finds out, and that's why he disobeyed team orders in Brazil.
Piles of manipulative, lying crap! Excuse me.
That seems a bit far-fetched. Although, that's exactly what they said about Singapore 2008, when a driver crashed on purpose to manipulate the result. In a race where Ferrari fucked up a pit stop, my God, the symmetry is incredible. So I don't know what to believe. Maybe the Dutch media is right. Maybe Perez did crash on purpose. Maybe Max Verstappen has information that would expose Red Bull. Maybe Christian Horner shot JFK. Maybe Helmut Marko is running a satanic death cult. Maybe there are tunnels underneath the factory at Milton Keynes that lead all the way to Jeffrey Epstein's island. Maybe Red Bull is just the face of a global paedophile network set up to compromise politicians and members of the royal family. Maybe the Queen is still alive. What was I talking about? Ted Kravitz said Lewis Hamilton got robbed in Abu Dhabi 2021. The Verstappen shaggers have a mental breakdown and threaten to kill him. Yeah, that reaction is appropriate sometimes, but only when people actually get robbed. Like in 2009 at the BGT finals, when Susan Boyle got robbed because they gave it to a fucking breakdancing group. Yeah, she was fucking ugly, but she had the voice of an angel. That's what getting robbed actually looks like. I've been robbed. I lost 20 quid on Bitcoin this week because the market went to shit, and that's when I had a realization. Formula One is exactly like Bitcoin. The whole thing is a complete scam, and the only people that take it seriously are in a cult. And here's a funny coincidence. The reason why the crypto market crashed is because of a company called FTX. FTX is a title sponsor for Mercedes. And you know what that means? George Russell crashed the crypto market. Throw him in jail! I'm going to have to leave it there because I'm about to have an aneurysm. So, George Russell owes me 20 quid. Ted Kravitz has gone into witness protection. Sergio Perez is a CIA agent. Red Bull are running an underground pedophile network, and Susan Boyle has the voice of an angel. Open your eyes and goodbye.
I dreamed a dream in time gone by.